Here to show you a few yoga poses. I put together a small sequence for you for your back to do a little bit of strengthening, but also to stretch out the back. So there's a mix here. And you can do this in the morning, at night. You can pick a few poses that you feel like you enjoy doing in the morning, and some that you prefer to do at night. Some of the seated poses are nice to do at night before bed. But we'll start in a child's pose. So you can do this on a carpet, a rug. If you don't have a yoga mat, you can put a towel out. But if you do have a mat or something like it, you just want something underneath you that's a little soft and cushiony. It could be like a yoga blanket, like this one that I have. Just make sure it's not too slippery that you're not going to slip on it. That's why like towels are good, because they're more like kind of gritty. So for child's pose, you bring your knees out a little wider than your hips. Your toes touch behind you, and you're going to lower your bum down towards your heels and reach your arms out forward in front of you. You can bring a pillow, a block, or something underneath your forehead if you want, or you can bring your forehead to the mat. And these poses might look different when you're doing them. It might not look exactly like the shape of, the way my shape is and the way my body is in the pose. Like my bum's all the way down on my heels. It could be that your bum's a little lifted or somewhere in between. Everyone's body is just a little bit different. And if it's bothersome that your hips are up high, you can always place a blanket or pillow or a block underneath you. So you just breathe here. You hold this. Each pose you can hold for a couple breaths. And before you come out of the pose, you can lift your elbows up, walk your hands forward for a deeper stretch. You can come onto your fingertips, and you'll feel a stretch in your shoulders. And relax the arms down. Take a breath in and lift up to a tabletop. So table is this pose right here that I'm in. It's when your wrists are stacked under the shoulders, knees stacked under the hips, feet are flat on the ground. You can tuck in the toes if you want here. That's an option too, if that's more comfortable. Sometimes it feels good just to do that and stretch your feet. From tabletop, we'll take cat-cow. So on your inhale, you'll lift your gaze, lift your tailbone, drop your belly. Exhale, we're going to come into cat. So we're going to start to do the opposite. We're going to bring the tail in, tail being like your tailbone. Bring your chin in towards your chest, round the spine. Push the mat away from you or the ground, whatever you're on. Come back to cow. Do this for a few rounds. You can do this really as many times as you want. So you inhale, cow. Exhale, cat. You don't have to worry too much about getting the breath wrong or right. Just do what feels right to you. You can go as fast or as slow as you want. And that is cat-cow. This is really, really good for your back. All right, back to tabletop, neutral tabletop. Now we're going to tuck our toes underneath, like I mentioned before. We're going to come into a downward facing dog. So to do that, you're going to push the ground away with your hands. Your knees will start to lift up. Your heels will start to come down towards the mat. Your hips lifted.
Try and get your palms as flat as you can on the mat with your fingertips spread out wide. You can make little adjustments here, going further out or further in with your feet and hands. But you want to feel the shoulders relaxed, hips lifted, and you can have a huge bend in your knees. They can be not bent at all or a gentle bend. I like somewhere in the middle, like a gentle bend. And my heels usually stay lifted off the mat. Yours might be on the ground. They might be really lifted. So everyone's down dog will look different. So this is really lengthening out our back, just like kind of like with the way our dogs stretch. Now we're going to do one sun salutation. Pretty much I feel everything in a sun salutation is really good for your back, so I had to include it in here. Alright, so first we're going to come onto the balls of the feet, lift them up, lift the heels up, bend your knees, look forward, and then we're going to walk or jump towards the top of our mat. So for you, this might be a couple steps, or maybe it's one big step. We'll take a halfway lift, so you can keep your hands on the ground, on the calves, or on the thighs. And what a halfway lift is, we're literally just lifting up halfway. Our knees can be bent. We want to keep the spine nice and straight and long, gazing down towards the ground. So this is what it looks like on the shins or on the ground. Just notice what feels right for you. You'll see some people have their legs straight. You can try that. I think the knees takes a little pressure off of the back, so I like it like that. Then you'll forward fold. Just release your upper body. Your hands can come to the ground. Gazing at the back wall, your forehead towards your knees. Now we're going to slowly lift up to mountain pose. Take your time. Don't want to get dizzy. Gentle bend in the knees. Slowly, slowly lift up. If you have a chair nearby and you need some help, you can use that chair. It can be beside you or just slightly in front of you, giving yourself still enough room to fold. And pushing into the chair to help lift you up. Or just something for stability. All right, now we're in our mountain pose. Bring your shoulders up by your ears. Take a breath in. And then exhale. Roll them down and back. Your palms will face forward, down at your hips. Take a breath in. This is Urdhva Hastasana. It's an upward salute. We reach the arms up as we breathe in. Your hands can stay separated. You can bring your palms together. Option to do a gentle back bend here, which means you're just going to look up. Just by looking up, your back's going to bend a little bit. Back bend slightly. Breath out, forward fold. Inhale, halfway lift again. Now we're going to plant our palms down, step back, come into a plank. Really good for your abs, building strength in the abs. You can drop the knees down, lower all the way down to the mat. Inhale to a cobra. So you're going to lift the head and chest up off the mat. You can use your hands to help lift you. Try and relax your butt as much as you can. Bring your elbows in. And you might only hold this for a breath. Come back down. Try it again. You can hold this for as long as you'd like. You can also take a Sphinx pose. So kind of like the Sphinx in Egypt. You'll come onto your elbows. And you can just hold this here. And breathe. And then whenever you're ready, come back down to the mat. Bring your hands under your shoulders. You'll lift into a tabletop, back to your down dog. That's a sun salutation. I'll go through it one more time a little bit faster. So we'll start in down dog. What you do, you look forward, come to halfway lift,
fold, upward salute, reach up, exhale, fold, half lift, plant your palms down, step back, you lower, cobra, down, tabletop to down dog. Or you can just stay right here in tabletop. You can do just one of those, one round. You can hold the poses for a long time, or you can go through it fast. If you want to get sweaty and make it more of a workout, you basically repeat that a few times. One breath, one movement. So, the next pose I recommend is a wide-legged forward fold using a strap, a towel, just anything that you can grab behind you. So your hands might look like this behind, but you want to get them as close as you can together. Like for me, I can interlace them, bring my palms together. But if that's not available, that's why we have the strap. So we can bring our hands closer and closer, and over time, like you might start over here, and then over time, you keep going in until you reach your hands, and then you interlace your fingers. So you bring your legs out wider than hips width distance, and they can be as wide or as close as you want, but wider, just wider than hips width distance. Grab your rope behind you. Take a breath in. Look up. Really reach those hands back. So we're now stretching the chest and the shoulders. We're going to exhale. Forward fold. Lift the arms up. Just keep breathing and hold it here. Now to come out of it, you just release the hands, come up halfway, lift from your hip. If that's too much, you can always do this in a chair. Same thing. Reaching behind you, take a breath in, look up. And you can stay here, you don't even have to fold. This is just to open up the heart and chest, reverse the slouching that we do all day. So you can hold it for a few breaths, you can release, do it again. You can also take half angel wings or goat post your arms. So for that, you would inhale your arms up and exhale, bend at your elbows, bring your arms to the side. And you'll want to focus on bringing your shoulder blades together behind you. And bring your hands away from your face. You can't see, you can barely see your hands. And I'll turn around so you can see kind of what that looks like. Gently looking up. And again, you can hold that just for a few breaths. And then let go. Next is a seated spinal twist. So this might be the part where you say, I did my standing poses in the morning and I'm going to do my seated poses at night before bed. Or you can do it all together. So if you do it all together, you might notice a little bit of a difference because your body's going to start to warm up and you'll be able to bend deeper in the poses. When you do them separately, you'll notice there's, you might be a little bit tighter when you're separating them out and you do your poses at night. All right. Bridge pose. So you're going to recline back. Graze the heels with your fingertips. You're going to ground through your feet. Lift your hips up. Hold it here. You can practice relaxing your glutes and then engaging your glutes, noticing the difference. Lower down. Nice and slow. Take a breath. And you can repeat this bridge as many times as you like. You can do it once, you can do it 2 or 3 times. Seated twist, bring your legs out in front of you. Bend one leg. So I'm bending my right, and I'm going to step the foot over. So now it's on the other side of my left leg. Take your right hand behind you, inhale, lift up. That left hand can come wrapped around, hugging your right knee in. On your exhale, look behind you, behind that right shoulder. Twisting helps to stretch the spine, helps to lengthen it, bring some energy back into it. Hold that for a couple breaths, release that side, and then you just switch sides. Breath in, lengthen, exhale, twist. On your exhale, you release, leg back down. If you want to twist a little bit more, or you prefer to do this laying down, there's a supine twist where you just hug your knees into your chest and slowly roll them over to one side. So right now my knees have fallen to my right side. I'm going to extend my left arm out like a T. Look over at my left hand. Just take some nice deep breaths here. So basically what we're doing here is like is just like what we're doing in the seated twist. It's just more restorative. A little bit more calming. I feel like this is really nice to do before bed. To switch sides, you just bring the knees into the chest. Slowly let them fall. You can use your left hand to guide them there. Reach your right arm out. Look over at the right hand. And just breathe deeply. You can close your eyes. Really relaxing. Come out of it. Bring your knees to your chest. You're gonna roll over to one side. Just use your hands on the side of your arm to lift you up. I hope these poses are helpful. Let me know if you're confused on anything or you have questions. I can make them more restorative, or I can do pretty much all of it in a chair if you want to see that. Or if you want to make it more challenging, let me know and I can show you how to make those poses a little bit more challenging, or some other poses that are good for your back that are just a little bit more challenging. But I wanted to keep it simple, so hopefully that those poses are clear.